And so this is kind of where I talk about how do you set up your LinkedIn profile? And it's got an old profile of mine, but it's still demonstrative of some things to do and not to do. So this is an actual person's real profile. I changed the name to preserve the innocent. No background picture, no profile picture. And you can see what they've written about. This is an older version of mine. Starting from the top down, have a professional photo. If you're building your LinkedIn profile, take the time to either go to a community event where they sometimes take them, have your significant other take a really high quality one, maybe behind the background or with a high resolution camera, pay the money to go and have a professional photo taken, whatever it is. A lot of folks will do like a selfie, which is pretty obvious. It's a selfie, or they'll crop somebody else out, right? Or they'll be in their like tuxedo from their wedding, which, congratulations, but it's kind of cheesy when you put it in because we can all tell, hey, it's the wedding photo. It's not your professional photo. So invest the time in having a quality photo. The other thing is the background photo. Don't use the stock LinkedIn one, which is cool. It's a little web of interconnections. Again, to my earlier point, your branding statement should be a synopsis of your value and your values. Find an image that really communicates that. For me at this time, that's a trail, right? Trailblazer. And I was blazing my trail. It's a train track. So that was my path I was going down, and all my certifications are on there. So that was meaningful to me. Whatever it happens to be for you, whatever resonates and is professional, put that back there, right? Help communicate the flavor of the person that is you. Your headline is incredibly important. This person, they're a consultant and that's where they live. Mine at the time, I had put in the things that I found were most impactful. So my roles in there, how many times I'd reached Ranger, how many certifications I had, and the fact that I was a veteran. I'll tell a quick story. If you're ever wondering, who cares about your profile header? Like, why does it matter? That's the first thing a recruiter sees, aside from your picture, right? They're going to go to your picture first and go, what does this person look like? It's just human nature, which makes it important, right? If there's no picture, they're going to lose interest. So they go to your picture, they go, okay, that's what the person looks like. Then they're going to look to your headline. And that may be all they look at, right? So they're busy people. They're doing a 4 to 6 second scan of your LinkedIn profile based on their search. And if it's not captivating their attention, they're going to move on. Now, if there's things in your headline that are interesting, they may stick around a while. And that's what happened to me. So when I first got into the ecosystem in July 1st of 2019, prior to that, really, I was applying for jobs at Salesforce, and they didn't even reach back out to say I wasn't accepted. Rather than get discouraged, I was like, okay, cool. It's not going to happen for me right now. I will put that Salesforce dream on the shelf because that was my dream job, and I'll come back to it. And so fast forward in time, I've got this profile. I've been working at PulseSource, and Salesforce came to me. And a recruiter reached out and said, hey, Dave, we've got this open solution architect role. Do you want to interview? One of the questions on your slide is, how have you seen personal branding pay off for you? And one of the ways that I've seen it pay off is kind of indicative of this story. And the reason why I knew that it was my headline that resulted in that initial interview is because I asked. I said, hey, what made you stop on my profile? I've been trying to get into Salesforce literally for over a year, but you looked me up instead of me applying for a role. She's like, well, it's very simple. I looked at your picture, and then I dropped your headline, and it had some neat stuff in it. It was impressive. It had a lot of great accomplishments. And so that's when I dug deeper into your profile, thought you'd be a good fit. And I asked you, if you wanted to interview. So it's incredibly important that you put thought into the profile that you craft, and especially that headline, because it could literally be the difference between getting a job and not getting a job. As we move down, we're talking about the About section. If you go to my LinkedIn profile and you click on See More, it's this very long list, but I've broken it up into sections. If you're putting effort into your About section, and you should, if they stick around, if that recruiter sticks around, that's where they're going to go next. It's the next thing down. And I listed my training, my badge count, my certifications, all the positions I'd held, my volunteer work, all the social media sites that I was on. So your trailblazer.me profile, LinkedIn, Twitter. If you've got a professional portfolio that you've built on the Salesforce platform, have that in there. Mine's in there. And the mistake that some people make is, one, this John Doe person had a couple sentences, and the mistake that other people make is they have a ton of stuff. And it's just this mash of words that you can't really even digest. No one wants to read a paragraph like this big of just words. So mine is very succinct. It's in outlined form, and it's broken up. So if you click on it, you can get a really quick sense of who I am. And then you move down the page to the featured section. And so you don't even see the featured section on John Doe's page. He hasn't spent the time to go there, which is a mistake. right? The featured section is where, like the slide I showed previously of my journey, that's where you can put that slide so it pops and they look at your picture, your headline, they go, oh, cool, what's that? And they look deeper. And so if you actually, if you can see right there, that big yellow circle, that's the badge for the Trailhead Trail to build your own professional profile. So if you're interested in that, it's still on my LinkedIn profile. It's a few pages back in my featured section. And that's another reminder to always be evolving your content, right? Just because you have a LinkedIn profile doesn't mean you should stop there. You're like, all right, I'm done. I update mine on a weekly, sometimes daily basis. Things change, right? What works today may not work tomorrow. And you've done new things, right? You make Ranger, holy cow, update your profile, right? Post that. Your educational section is important. You'll see that it's Trailhead by Salesforce. Initially, I had my college in there, and it was Villanova because I'd gotten a master's certificate there in Lean Six Sigma. But I was like, you know what? Really, that's great if I was going to go for a project management role, but that's no longer my interest. My interest now is Salesforce, so I need to fully invest in this industry. So now my education listed is Trailhead by Salesforce. So I would just encourage you to think about that. So that's kind of a full profile. And again, I didn't create any of these concepts. How did I create my profile? I went to those folks that were already in the industry, that were already successful, those thought leaders like Jennifer Lee, who we talked about earlier, David Giller, David Liu, folks on this call like Antonella. And I looked at what they had and I was like, okay, well, obviously I didn't plagiarize their content, right? But I did borrow the concepts that they had. I did fill out my featured section. I did borrow some concepts for my headline, for the background image, right? And you can do the same. So go to my profile, do a search in LinkedIn for Salesforce MVP. Those people are by nature successful because they've reached the MVP status, and borrow from their concepts.